All right, let's roll. G'day, guys. My name's Alex. Welcome to the TryPod. This week, we're doing another episode of Punting 101. It's just essentially going to be 5 minutes of punting knowledge, help you make better bets, obviously, and help you kind of avoid some of the pitfalls that come with gambling. First things first, make sure you're in our group. It's called TryPod Punters Tips Forum. There is a link in the description to this video. And make sure you've downloaded the TryPod app, TryPod. You can find that in the App Store and in Google Play, and it's free to download. That's where we post all our tips. That's where you can post your tips up and get the app to track it for free. And yeah, it'll show you your return on investment, all that kind of thing, and you can follow other tipsters that you do like. All right, today I will be talking about stale numbers. Now, a stale number is essentially if you get, let's say, for example, you're betting on the NBA or the NFL or whatever, and you get a major injury. Let's say LeBron James is out and the line moves 5 or 6 points. A stale number would be something that you can find in a little bit of an obscure market that hasn't yet moved. You can find stale numbers. I mean, the main one is when there's a major injury to a key player. Let's say, especially in basketball, one of the two best players go down, an hour before or get announced out just before, the line moves fairly significantly. One other way is obviously just a sharp betting plunge before the game. You can get lines that move not that often, but in the NFL or the NBA, you can get some sharp line moves just before the game where the line moves 3 or 4 points, and sometimes you can find some value in some more obscure markets. And then the last one, obviously, is just some miscellaneous shit. Like, for example, with the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Rams this week, they were slated to play in Mexico City. And that venue got changed to LA, which is essentially a home game for the Rams. And the line moved from -2.5 to -3.5, which is through the most key number of 3 in the NFL. So I actually text Jacob straight away because I got an alert that said, they're not playing in Mexico City anymore. And we actually tried to post that. We've tried to post that tip up, Rams -2.5. But before we could finish typing, the lines were gone. But I mean, if you're talking about yourself and, you had that information, you would have had enough time to bet on it. So I'm going to take you through. Look, I can barely do this anymore, but I'm going to share what I used to do and what I would do with you guys. I've been banned from probably every bookie for at least 3 years now. Some of them I've been banned for, the last decade or something. But there was a time, when I had multiple bookies and I was an absolute fiend. I would be up, at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. This is back, in my late teens, early 20s. I'd be up early hours of the morning because I knew that was when the bookies didn't check their lines as much. And I'd be going through every single market looking for mistakes. And obviously now they've kind of caught on and they will just refund your money or void your bet. But back then it was a little bit easier. So you can't really get away with that now if you find a massive mistake in a market. They'll just void your bet, whereas before you could kind of get away with that. What you can get away with is stale numbers. So I'm going to take you through the ones that I used to look at. I don't really do it that much anymore because I can't bet them. And this is probably the order that I would do it in. So the main thing is have your alerts set to wherever you get your news, your Twitter, or alerts or whatever. Just make sure you have them set up because if you get a key player that goes out injured, or if there's a sharp betting plunge and you want to get on the other side, then you're going to have to get that information very quickly. So I'm going to tell you which markets I would look at first, because obviously the first markets that they change are the head-to-head price and the line price and the total, obviously the main markets. The first one I always look at is halftime, full-time. Those ones stay up for quite a while sometimes. I've had times before, where a line has changed massively, where, a key player was out, the line moved 5 or 6 points, yet the halftime, full-time price hadn't changed. And that was up for about an hour until they changed it. An easy way to see if you've actually got value. I know it doesn't happen that often, but if you get a flip favorite, let's say, the Lakers are playing someone and they're 3-point favorites, LeBron gets ruled out an hour before tip, they change to, +2. So it's a flip favorite. You can go on every single one of the bookies that you have. You may have 5, you may have 6, and just go into the halftime, full-time, and it doesn't always happen, you may find one where the Lakers are still favourites in the halftime, full-time betting, and then you can bet the other side. That one's a fairly easy one to determine if you're getting value there. Obviously, with that one as well, you can use Lucy's law. If you're taking an underdog, the halftime, full-time price should be better or equal to 1.6 times their price to win. So that's the first one that I would look at, and that's one that stays up for quite a while, that halftime, full-time sometimes. The next ones I would go to are your alternate lines and alternate totals. Not every bookie has this, but most of them do. They do change the main line first, and I've seen times when the alternate line has been, the same essentially, basically until they get a bet on it. And generally they won't void those bets, with the halftime, full-time, or the alternate lines. They won't void those ones because it's not, a huge error, like if they had, the lines mixed up or something like that. Generally, you can get a couple of extra points, depending on how much the line moves, if you look in those alt lines. So they're the main two. Another one that I would definitely look at that they're very slow to change are your line total doubles and your head-to-head doubles. If you do get a significant line move, generally bookies are scrambling to change their main lines, change the head-to-head price, and sometimes they forget about your line total double. So make sure you go in there and have a look at those ones, and your head-to-head doubles as well. Generally, you can find a bookie, one or two that have them left open. The main thing here, guys, is to, once again, you have to be very, very quick off the mark, because bookies are getting sharper these days. They're getting quicker to move these things, so you have to be the first one in. And generally, if they cop one bet or two bets on that market, they will suspend it or change the odds. So you have to be basically the first guy in there. So just make sure that you've got all your betting, you've got your alerts set up, and you can go into those markets straight away. Another one, and those three are probably the main ones that I would say. Maybe also your winning margins, let's say in the NBA, 1 to 10 and 11 plus. If you do get a key injury, obviously, sometimes you can get an 11 plus price at the stale number, and obviously then that is huge value. And then some ones that, are further down the line. Those four are the top ones that I would check first. And then maybe I would even check some first half lines and second half lines. Sometimes if you get a flipped favourite, for example, just before game time, let's say a team goes from, $2.20 underdog to $1.80 favourite. Sometimes you can get them plus points at halftime and plus points in the second half, which is obviously huge to get plus points in a half on a favourite. And then I would also look at team totals sometimes. Obviously sometimes they don't update those very quickly, and they can leave some of the same team totals up there for a little while. But the main four I would say are your halftime, full times, your alternate lines, and your alternate totals sometimes. Definitely your line total doubles, and then your winning margins. And I would go down in that order. If you get some news and you want to have a look at betting some stale numbers, I would go in that order. Then the next one would be another one that is obviously, this one makes complete sense, and usually they're pretty quick to move these ones, but I have had some success in the past, and still even now. You always hear about guys that are getting on some of these stale numbers, but if you do get a major injury, and most of the time it will be more pertinent or more important in a game like NBA, where there's only 5 players in it. But if you get a huge injury to, let's say, a dude like LeBron or whatever, you can quite often play some player performance markets before they move. And they won't void those. They're just, they've been too slow to move them. They won't void those bets. It wasn't a mistake. They were just too slow. So obviously, it goes without saying, if a guy like LeBron is out, you want to play every single other player that you can find over their points total, over on rebounds, that kind of thing. And that's fairly self-explanatory for NBA. If a major player goes out, you want to bet everyone else's props over. In the NFL, it's a little bit different. The only one that makes a huge difference to the line is, let's say, a quarterback. Sometimes they can be worth up to about 9 points if you're talking about like a fully healthy Aaron Rodgers or something like that. So if someone like that went down, obviously you can look at some stale markets like, obviously the line and total, all the stuff that I went through before. But from a player performance perspective, you would want to be looking at a running back's total to go over. because you know that like if the main quarterback's out, they're going to want to run the ball a shitload more. They're not going to be able to pass as much. They're going to lean on the run game a lot more. So you're going to want to look to kind of branch off in that direction if you get some injuries in a game like NFL. Or let's say, the running back goes down. You might want to play the quarterback passing yards over because he's going to have to pass more. But you just have to use your head for that kind of stuff. But NBA is the one where you really have to be very quick because obviously, if a major player goes down, they're going to catch up to that fairly quickly. But sometimes you can get like a second or third, not the best player on the team, but maybe the third best player. And if you know their backup and they've got a prop on that, you can just fire away and bet on the guy that's going to be getting, 35 minutes instead of the standard 20 minutes. That's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions about that, certainly let me know. But I did think I would do that one because, I can't really do it anymore nowadays. But I had huge success doing this when I had multiple bookies that I could bet on. You just have to make sure your alerts are set up right so you get the news before anyone else. And you have to make sure that, you fire straight away. Because basically with those ones, as soon as one or two people put a decent sized bet on a market like that, they'll suspend it or move it. And you have to try and be the first one that gets on those markets. Which, you might say that's impossible. It's the whole of Australia. It's definitely not impossible. I would say there'd been over 100 times when I've had some info, I've bet, over the last 12 years or whatever that I've been betting, where I've gotten some info, I've bet on a market that was stale, and immediately they changed the price or, they suspended the market. So, it's no coincidence, you're the first person getting in there. So you just have to make sure you fire away quickly and you have your alert set up. That's pretty much it for this week, guys. Any questions, certainly feel free to hit us up. But otherwise, we will catch you tomorrow morning on this page, 10 a.m. Queensland time, which will be 11 o'clock for you guys down south to break down round 11 of the NFL. We will see you then.